Hello and thank you for joining us on the last edition of Journalist Hangout this week. I'm Benga Oreshegun. Today on the program, President Tinubu addresses joint session of National Assembly, calls for national support, appreciates sacrifices by the armed forces and pardons Ken Saro-Wiwa, honors journalists and other pro-democracy fighters. Well, I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Charles Idel. Journalist Hangout starts right now. Yes, the 2025 Democracy Day celebration in Nigeria has come and gone. But the euphoria that greeted the event is yet to die down. Of particular interest is the speech delivered by President Bola Tinubu when he addressed a joint session of the National Assembly as part of activities to mark the June 12 anniversary. While public commentators are commending the richness of the speech, many issues raised by President Tinubu in the address are dominating discussions nationwide. Now let's start with the June 12 anniversary, which President Tinubu reaffirmed as Democracy Day and a symbol of Nigeria's democratic restoration. Now, BK, let's begin this way. I mean, yesterday, the president, while addressing the joint session of the National Assembly, he used that opportunity to reaffirm that June 12 Democracy Day and a symbol of democracy of Nigeria's democratic restoration. I mean, your thoughts on this?
June 12th is the symbol of the resilience of Nigeria's democracy. June 12th was an epochal moment in our national life, and many people have fond memories of June 12th in terms of the way the people rose in a wave and voted, brushing aside ethnic and religious divides. And at the end of the day, the military junta, how did you say it's pronounced?
Junta.
Military junta.
That's it.
Thank you. Okay. That's why I like you coming here, because I'm a bushman. I just pronounce words the way I like. I don't deceive myself.
Yeah, we learn every day.
I don't compete with people like
We learn every day.
You know, the military junta. We print journalists. Those of us in the print, we just pronounce words anyhow.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
Yeah.
So the military junta decided that no, it was not time for them to go to their barracks.
Okay.
But invariably, the military had to go to their barracks. June 12 signposted a new form of civil disobedience in our country, a new form of resistance to oppression in our country. The kind of resistance that people had not seen. You know, by the nature of Nigeria's independence from colonial masters, people will recall that the battle for Nigeria's independence, you can't compare it to what Algeria, for example, went through.
Okay.
Algeria had to defeat France. You know, had to go to war with France, had to defeat France to get its independence. And in our own case, we got it on the platter of gold. Maybe that's why we do not even value it. But June 12 showed that Nigerians can resist oppression, can resist injustice, and lives were lost. But invariably, the sacrifices paid off, and the military had to return to its barracks. After the death of Sani Abacha, Abdul Salami took over, and in 10 months, he completed the transition to civil rule, something that another general continued to play games with Nigerians for years. In 10 months,
Maradona.
Abdulsalami got the job done.
Exactly.
And gave us a new constitution. So the president said, yes, Abiola remains the symbol of our democracy.
Okay.
But there were many other people who qualify to be called heroes and heroines of our democracy, of resistance to military rule. Some of them didn't directly fight for June 12th.
Okay.
Yes, but in the intervening years, in the intervening years, we saw efforts,
their contributions.
Yes, and we saw their contributions.
Okay.
What I mean is, June 12, 1993, 1994, there are some heroes today that you cannot really point at what they did, during those giddy months, you know, early years. But in the intervening years, we saw them speak up. We saw them challenging the military that it was time to go back to their barracks. Yes, so, but they are all heroes of democracy. As long as we have democracy, we must give each and every one credit for the roles that they played, you know. So this is, I'm particularly happy. And I believe that for those who are saying that the president did not honor some people, I do not see this as the last time that
we'll still get to that. We'll still get to that. But I mean, Charles, 26 years. What are the takeaways? What does June 12 mean to you? And also, what does June 12 mean for Nigeria?
June 12 means freedom from oppression from the military. Military were like to us like the colonialists. It's like internal colonialists or something. Because I was old enough then. I think I just finished a diploma course in University of Lagos when we all began to look forward to change, because some of us became too used to
the June 12, 1993.
Yes.
Where were you at the time?
I was in Lagos.
Okay, you were.
I just finished from Unilag, diploma
Lagos.
course and all that, so I was still around. I actually went because I was at that time I was living at Oshodi, the heart of Lagos, and Oshodi was a flashpoint at that time. You know, so it was something that curtailed our movement. There was a time we couldn't even get food to buy because we couldn't come out and all that. A lot of things happened, so I was old enough to understand some of it. We were all looking to, as I said, I remember when I was a very small boy, Gowon was the military head of state. And when Gowon was ousted, I said, little boy, listen to that. I didn't know, I thought Gowon was the title of the titular name for the president. So I remember asking my older brother, I said, who is the new Gowon? Who is the new Gowon for Nigeria? And I said, no, Gowon is just his name. Because he was in power for so long that we all remember Gowon. And then I also remember Ogbemudia or the Bende. I was a very small boy. So who is the next Gowon? Is the next Ogbemudia? So it was no, because they stayed in power for too long, for so long. So democracy wasn't something that we knew when we were growing up, until we were told that, of course, you know, before the Shagari era and all that came, then we also witnessed, that was also short-lived. Then we now had 8 years of Babangida, 8 or 9, if I'm not mistaken, or so. Then we were now, getting used, we're growing up now and all that, and then it came. We were all very, very expectant, as I said. And that was the very first time I suppose I would be voting as an adult. And we were there at Oshodi. We queued up. There's a place called Charity Oshodi. That was where our polling booth was. So we all queued up, and then they were about to do, numbers were counted. We were all talking our sodas, 1, 2, 3. And we were all, you know, say, okay, the winner. And they were watching TV, because it was only NTS at that time. We were all watching and all that until... That was the very first time I was hearing the English annulment. I never heard it in my life. And the lexicon, Nigerian lexicon, became enriched by the...
Exactly, by that word.
Honestly, annulment came... Oh, an on-pass. It was a political on-pass. A lot of words came into our lexicon that time that, you know, enriched some of our knowledge and all that we never heard of. So it happened. At least you said, what does it mean? It means now we don't have to look over, particularly some of us who are media men, we don't have to look over our shoulders. I remember at that time, it was what led me to journalism because of all this Razor, then he himself, all these people like Tell magazine, the news, and I even had to work with Davido over time, who was your who later became the PM News editor. So a whole lot of things happened. So, but now we don't have to look over our shoulder that somebody's going to be, after leaving the studio, they will whisk you away to unknown places from. So it represents for me freedom. It represents for me you don't have to look over your shoulder. Number two is that he also has given us the opportunity to say, okay, what are we going to be doing? You know, so people are coming out now to do their business. Nobody is going to be harassing you anymore. So these are some of the things that June 12 actually represents. Yes,
all right.
For
now,
me.
the president, I mean, paid tribute to persons who played different roles, you know, during the June 12 struggle. How significant is this? And also, when I had to pause you there, do you think there were some persons that played critical role that the president did not mention? Because since morning, I've been hearing some names that some names ought to have been there.
Yes.
But talk to me about it.
Yesterday I mentioned Colonel Dangiwa Umar.
Yes.
Yeah, Coloma, yeah.
He was
Coloma.
a soldier who lost his commission because he insisted that the military must
go.
Honor their word.
Yes, let Abiola exercise his mandate, you know. And he was always available for interviews, and he stood his ground. I thought his name would be there, but, you know, sometimes leaders can't remember everything, but it will make sense to bring, I mean, maybe next year.
Or do you think it was an oversight?
Yes, I think so. It was a big oversight. There is no way I will be in the room where the such discussion was going because as a soldier, he resisted. He kept telling his bosses that
he's so consistency for that matter.
Yes,
he's so consistency.
Yes, and many people couldn't believe it because he was fiercely loyal to Babangida
at the time.
They were the ones on the day that IBB toppled Buhari in a bloodless coup. They were the ones who did the spade
the
work.
groundwork.
Okay.
Three of them. There were three majors at that time who became later very influential. Abdulmumini Aminu, Lawan Gwadabe, and Dangiwa. They were all majors. He later headed FHA.
Federal Housing Affairs.
Yes, that was the job that they gave to him, and then he became military administrator and all that. So he insisted that the June 12th election must be de-annulled. You know? He risked his life and invariably lost his commission. A bright career in the army. He was one of the brightest or the most good-looking army officers of his generation. So I think that was a big mistake because we covered that era. We were prominent in covering that era. We were the ones going about doing interviews. I was in northern Nigeria. We were the ones getting those interviews done. So we know the true heroes.
The true heroes of the day.
I felt that it would have been mentioned. I also mentioned Glory Kilanko. Because civil society organizations rose
they played a very important role
on the side of the Nigerian people. So people like Glory Kilanko, we used to interview them. They were going from state to state, sensitizing Nigerians to come out and resist the military. Formidable woman, you know. So she was left out. But I'm happy that Ubani of the Campaign for Democracy, yes, he died in an accident. Yes. He fought very hard, So
yes, that's the man.
Yes. That's Omar. That's Omar.
Yes, that's Omar. So it's in Kaduna. She used to live very close to Ajalila Dongoyaro's house.
Okay.
In I think Rangwarimi or so. So apart from him, there are other people. I would, for example, like to see Bile Oshadipe.
Yeah, I think I remember that name.
Bile Oshadipe was editor of Tempo.
They mentioned exactly, and then
Bile Oshadipe was editor of Tempo. That I worked for. No paper, no Nigerian newspaper stood up against the military like Tempo.
Yeah, Tempo. Yes,
and I'm proud to have worked for Tempo, to have taken those risks.
Tempo.
No Nigerian newspaper, and I say it again. I was very sure of that.
I think it was...
Tempo was prescribed.
Yes.
The news was prescribed. We then came up with Tempo. So instead of the glossy, the news magazine, we came up with Tempo that was a tabloid to enable us print anywhere. We could print anywhere.
That was guerrilla journalism.
Yes, that was guerrilla journalism.
You don't have to be in your office.
No.
See, the proscription was anticipated. Because it was anticipated, they registered multiple companies.
Plan A, Plan B.
Bayo Nonoga, Idowu Obasawa, GM, Kunle Ajibade, who later went to jail, over a coup that didn't exist. Babafemi Ojudu. They are the most determined and stubborn people that you can ever work with. I don't know where they came from, those people. So even you, and Olonyomi,
yeah, I remember that.
Even you, if you are afraid, they will give you the confidence. My younger sister, who is an ED at Access Bank, when Dapo came to my uncle's office in Akiode to say, Jide, you are going to write this cover story. The cover story that sent my Kunle to jail. My sister was saying, what is the meaning of this? This person came to hide in Lagos. You brought a story for him to write.
To put him in another.
Yes, my sister was fighting, saying, no, you can't.
It was an interesting period.
And Yomi just said, somebody needs to fight this government.
Exactly.
And your brother is eminently qualified to fight this government.
And you were not afraid?
No, they brought us up to not be afraid of anything.
There was no social media to polish
anything.
Remember,
I wasn't married. I wasn't married. So what is there to be afraid of? I was in my 20s. What is there to be afraid of? No marriage, nothing. There are things today that you think twice. You remember your son.
Your wife.
Exactly.
There are risks that you don't want to take now because you remember that if anything happens, the suffering is not for you.
Yeah, exactly. For people who will be leaving behind.
Yes. But when you also have bosses who are courageous, who are prepared to die, you then tell yourself, why you are younger than them. So why should you be afraid? So, he was just laughing. He was just laughing. And I took the documents from him. I delivered the story in record time, trekked at night around 12 midnight to go and drop it. No, around 1 a.m. to go and drop it at our office. At that time, they thought that we were printing from... that was the rumor that we were printing from American Embassy. Whereas we were producing from Bangboshe on the island.
On the island?
Yes, we were producing from Bangboshe. They said we were printing from Tempo from
American Embassy.
You just laugh at those things. Those were giddy days. Yeah. Giddy days that sometimes when you remember with nostalgia, and you see the practice of our profession today. You know that journalism is a dying profession. We didn't practice journalism like this. I was on vacation when the so-called 1995 coup happened.
The Phantom.
Dakwolon Yomi called me. I was on vacation. He called me and said, Jide, have you heard of the coup? I said, no. He said, we heard that Gwadabe is involved, Bello Fadile is involved. He mentioned 3 persons. He said, now go and get me all the other people who have been arrested. And I left Kano, went to Jaji in the night.
No security that time now.
In the night. Not even security.
No security
fear.
of our fear.
No fear that,
no
okay,
fear.
the military
Yes.
could...
Okay, could also
exactly.
apprehend you.
Yes.
That's
and
it.
I left that night because I knew we had a deadline. I left that night, went to Jaji.
Yeah, this is Gwadabi.
You know? Went to Jaji. Now, this is it's now very old. You know? He was commander in Jos. You know? So, I submitted 7 names. There was no Nigerian paper that had been able to find more than 3 persons. To the glory of God, I submitted 7 names. You know? People like Dakwolo Yomi, because of the way they brought us up, and they don't shout at people. It's not until you shout at people before you get the best out of them. Some of us can go into the lion's den to bring a story because of them.
That's
and during that time where you needed so much loyalty, we were preferred to give that loyalty. Not
and again, for national pride, you also forgot to mention that.
We wanted the
national
military
pride
to go.
was there, exactly.
We wanted the military to
still
go.
talking about honoring national heroes. I mean, most especially pardoning the Ogoni 9.
Yes.
Very critical. Now, is this action by the president enough to bring closure? I mean, to the families, to the victims, and also to the people of Ogun.
Okay, just like Ledon Mite said, I think of the MOSOP, movement for the, I forgot, what's MOSOP again? Movement of the survival of Ogoni people. Good. I think he said something about, I quite agree with him when he said that even for this time for that, it's not to bring them back, but at least you know that something happened, injustice happened, and then you are correcting the injustice again. You're saying what these people were accused of doing actually wasn't right. And it also took one government to do that, and another government to still right the wrong, which is very fundamental and very profound. So it will also lead to national healing. It also lead to the healing of Ogoni land to say, okay, those trumped-up charges that were leveled against those people actually were what they call phantom. They didn't do what they said they did, and then they died for fighting for the best for their own land. I mean, God, all of us were... Jide is from Kogi State and from Edo State, okay? Now, God knows why he had to put us in all those places. Okay, so you can't say his Koginess is more than my Edo-ness, or somebody's Ogodiness more than somebody. But God knows why he all planted. So, but all of us, we all have a central focus towards the national pride for Nigeria. Sure. So if somebody is saying that what you are doing for my people, what you're doing against my people or to my people is wrong, look at those things and say, well, how you can, if you can succor them. But don't just say because, okay, you went about this issue of environmental degradation of somebody's land. And you are also giving back to that person. You said the person had no right to speak against that, which of course what the Ogulina represented. They were saying, no, yeah, we are not, you could do exploration and exploitation over here. But give us at least a modicum level of succor, a modicum level of comfort, a modicum level of appreciation. But the government just saying, okay,
water,
the people couldn't fish. They say sometimes, I remember I can't remember what place in that area. There was a time there was even black rain. Rain was falling. It was black like smoke and all that. Except the suit, the suit mixed up. So those people, you said they had no right under the sun to complain that something is happening to their own environment. And then you went because they were agitating, you took them, and then you invited the hangman. Before you knew they were dead. And then there was furore. I think we were Commonwealth also, banned us for a while and all that. So it took another government over 1995 to now over the year look at to say, okay, no, this is wrong. We are sorry for what may have happened and all that. So for me, it will also bring about healing Ogoni land. Yeah, you can't bring them back just like the Domite said. But again, you can also use that as a pill, to heal whatever wound and all that we have in Nigeria. Yes, that's for me.
All right, we need to go on this quick break. And when we return, BK, I just want your thoughts on it. Is this enough to bring closure to the people of Ogun? We'll be right back after this break.
There were people that Sarawiwa described as saboteurs of the struggle, and we call them vultures. So a mob descended on those people and killed them. So Abacha simply felt that, oh, Sarawiwa was the one who called for their killing. And because of that, they rounded him up and killed him along with others. So the people, we are talking about healing in this sense.
Go both ways.
It should be both ways. Because that was extrajudicial in nature. That was pure murder. And it shouldn't have happened in a civilized environment. Yes, people find it difficult to live with saboteurs. You know, you have a struggle and you have a saboteur from within. It can be very painful. Exactly. But two wrongs do not make one right. And the manner those people were killed was what triggered Sani Abacha. Because Sani Abacha was a friend of us, Sarawiwa, when he was working in Port Harcourt.
Yeah, River State then.
When he was an army officer in Port Harcourt. They were friends. They were friends, you know. So people were taken aback that he could then decide. So, but November 12, 1995, that judgment came. I think it was Justice Auta.
Auta, yeah,
yes.
Auta.
That judgment came, and they didn't waste time. They didn't waste time. They took their lives, just like that. That is the difference between the military regime
and the democracy. Because you go for appeal.
I've had people now say, even I think I was reading somewhere, and somebody said, somebody compared Tinubu to Abacha. Oh my God!
Maybe the person was there alive at that time.
a lot of them, because of politics, they hate the man so much that you can't put anything beyond them. When it comes to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, many people talk about June 12. They don't know the sacrifice that people made. Lives were lost. I was recalling yesterday what Abacha did. When he felt, okay, I'm going to the airport. Don't take me through the long journey. I'm the CNC. Nobody has the right to block my road.
Exactly.
And he said it is that road that they block that he wants to pass. And that came at a cost. The military slaughtered the boys who were protesting. Opened fire on them. So, and a lot of our colleagues, somebody lost his there's
a friend of mine called Ambassador Musbao who also lost his sight.
They were just picking people. They're picking people. You were talking about Razor.
Yes.
Razor magazine, in tabloid form.
Like
Razor magazine was not really even doing all
as much as
democracy stories. So they were doing lifestyle, gossip stories and all that. But they still went and picked the publisher.
And the temple that was doing the
do you know a man called Omenka?
DMI.
Omenka introduced the word waste.
I will waste you.
I will waste you. Many people didn't know that.
Yes.
And
it was a dark
they also introduced the wrist torture, whereby your handcuff will be tightened repeatedly.
The cuffs, yes.
You know, just as a way of trying to get you to confess. People didn't do anything. You ruined their lives. If people know what Nigerians went through trying to send the military packing, they won't be saying the nonsense that they are saying now. And they won't be asking for the military to come back. They were far away. We've had people say, I asked somebody, I said, okay, how many people has Tinubu killed as president? What was it called? Assassinated.
Assassinated,
for political reasons. Even a woman, they couldn't spare a woman. Kudirat Abiola, they opened fire on her, they killed her. Baba Rewane was thought to be the main financier
of Nadeco.
They killed the old man. At least we are not going through that. And I tell people, there was somebody that I was chatting with, you know, on Facebook. I said, see, there are things that people say here that they can't say in Rwanda. Even if you are not in the country, they can still hunt you down wherever you are. The way we ridicule our president, we abuse our president, you can't try it in Rwanda. One Nigerian went to Rwanda and he was posting stuff on social media, complaining about the country. They broke into his room. Because these things can be monitored. But we are not in a police state where such things are being done. Absolutely. Let's even appreciate the freedom that we have.
You mentioned the freedom and all that.
The freedom that we take for granted here. Such freedoms do not exist in some places.
Countries, yes, exactly.
Eritrea, Ethiopia, they came up with anti-terrorism laws that were meant to deal with journalists, opposition elements who condemn government. We don't have that here. We don't have that. Nobody, for abusing the president, nobody charges you with terrorism, for example. Okay. So, it's been 25 years of unrestrained democracy in our country. We have to be grateful when we look back at what we went through.
The dark days.
Yes, when we look back, we have to be grateful. Absolutely. And we feel proud, some of us who are part of the struggle, we feel proud that the freedom that we wanted, we have it. We do not have military rule. Who would decide just based on the FRC, Armed Forces Ruling Council? They don't consult you. They just take the decisions that they didn't fit. Is that what we are supposed to return to? No. All those young people who were not born, when people remember, it was a military governor from today's southeast that a journalist wrote an article about him on his birthday. Oh, they ordered that they should shave his head with a broken bottle.
I remember.
People, they don't know anything. Some of these kids who are saying, oh, come and save Nigeria because you didn't like the person who won the election. Because you didn't like the person who won the election. Your candidate lost an election and you felt that the best thing was for military to come into power. You don't know what you are doing now.
They don't know.
It is borderline imbecility.
All right, gentlemen, let's still talking about the president's address. I mean, how reassuring is the president's speech, especially when he dismissed the one-party state agenda? I mean, how reassuring? He took time to actually address that matter. Yes. How reassuring?
Well, I'm going to quote him verbatim here. Some of the things said that the president, of course, first of all, he told the security agents not to hound. Very important. He told them on national television not to hound those who are criticizing him or his administrations and then perceived unpleasant policies. When people are saying, oh, the dollar is this, he's not doing that, he said, leave them. I mean, he can also look at that, or those criticisms and see what he can do and then to do right. The other one, look, this is what I'm going to be quoting verbatim. It says here that democracy requires a fair degree of tolerance for harsh words and stinging insult. Call me names, call me whatever you will, and I will still call upon democracy to defend your right to do so. And then he didn't stop there. He also urged his political loyalists and also other, people here and there to value dialogue over dictatorship and then persuasion over suppression and right over might, end quote. When you look at some of these things, when you say, please, if people want to criticize me, leave them. Don't hound them. Don't go unnecessarily say, okay, because I said something about somebody's head out with shame with a broken bottle and all that. The era of that is gone. So for me, it may be a words spoken by him, but I think it's reassuring. I mean, he spoke it, which is one aspect I loved about his going to the National Assembly yesterday. When I first heard, because I follow Mr. Nanuga, when I first heard he's going to be talking to the joint station, I said, this is a departure from national broadcast. But what I like about it, which of course I'm speaking about the interaction with people.
No, Charles, I think you're getting right. I said when he talked about the one,
no, I'm going over
there.
I'm going over there.
Yes, okay.
I'm going over there.
Okay.
So he spoke about, I'm just building up to this.
Okay.
Then he also talked about people who are saying that he's also working towards one party state and not that. He talked about the PDP. And so for me, I mean, if you look at the elements of one party state, it's suppressing opposition, limited participation of other parties. Do we have that in Nigeria today? Where there's also manipulation of the electoral process, where you could say once in a while you find that occurring. And then you also have the party leadership. People don't also understand about one party state. Party leadership, for instance, Ganduje, we have more influence than the president. But do you have that? These are all elements of one party state. For me, PDP once upon a time was the party that ruled over. They said the biggest party in Africa. As at that time, PDP was almost a one party state. Everybody was into PDP. Now they lost election.
People joining a party in droves. It's not a signal that one party
is a vote. That's why I said
one party. We still have many parties.
Yes,
people can contest on the platform of those parties.
But you legislate something.
They don't have to contest on the platforms of the three most dominant parties. There are still other parties.
We have officially 18.
Who says yes? There was a time we even had more than 70.
We had about 70.
Who says you must contest under APC? Who says you can't win an election
is any gun put to somebody's head to say APC or you die?
No.
That's just like
the element of one party state.
Oh, okay. Liverpool just signed one guy now, one German.
That's my team that I support.
It's just like saying, oh, Liverpool, you've won enough titles in England. Okay, don't sign new players. Don't improve your team. You understand? Don't improve your team. You are too good already. No, nobody.
But what I want
to move clubs. So politicians too can move. In our kind of politics, politicians will move. Politics is an interest-driven game.
Yes.
If people find that their interests won't be best served in a particular platform,
yes,
they will go elsewhere. They are going elsewhere. It's no guarantee that they will win the election.
But the thing is that what I find that what I think we should be doing.
So many people defected in Edo State.
Yeah.
When they were approaching the Obaseki second term. It still didn't stop Obaseki from winning.
2020, yes.
Do you remember?
Yes, because I was in
They left him.
I was in Edo State.
Many people left him to say, okay, we are not going to work for you. They left him, party member.
Yes, party member.
It still didn't stop him from winning.
Yeah, that was when
because he also exactly.
Where your jeans?
So, but sorry, what I think we should be looking at, which I find sometimes very discomforting, is the fact that we don't have clear-cut ideology. You could hardly separate the ideology of one party from the other. If we are able to build enduring and distinct political ideology, people will have, okay, your interest is here. I understand in Ghana, it's almost impossible for one politician to move to the other. Because it will seem as if, if you go to the Igbo country, I partly grew up in Igbo country, that's Igbo land, a family that is rooted in Catholicism, it's difficult for a son or a daughter of that man to come to look at like this, so you are attending a Pentecostal. It's the same way it should be. But here, it's just like free.
Now, talking about that, I mean, the president went down memory lane when he said how he stood alone.
Yeah, okay, yeah, exactly.
You know, when the ruling party at the time swept the sun.
Yes.
How come it is hard to find politicians like that will stand alone and say, come what may, I'll still stay here?
Not everyone has the political skills of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You may hate him as much as you like. That tsunami, the Obasanjo tsunami, consumed what was meant to happen. Was that okay? Obasanjo was rejected by Yorubas in 1999. Yorubas voted for Olufalaye. But the votes from the southeast, south, and the north brought him to power by a landslide. And of course, the military that were departing at that time, it was clear that that was their
Exactly.
In fact, I recall that when money was money, in just a few months to the election, IBB donated 1 million each to the chapters of the ruling PDP in the 774 local governments of Nigeria. I remember very well.
He said 1
million.
The value.
Yes,
You know
1
how much
million.
was there?
Yes.
Just add about 2
There
more
was a time
zeros.
when 1 million was.
I know.
Add 2 more
The
zeros.
first person to donate 1 million at an event was MKO Abiola in 1980.
And it was
the people felt he was mad. Because 1 million, people were dazed. 1 million.
You know what I mean?
For years they were talking about that money.
That
That
money.
record remained. 1 million. He donated it to his party.
Or SDP or something?
No, he donated it to NPN.
Oh, NPN. Okay, sorry. So before SDP.
Yes.
NPN.
You know? So IBB donated 1 million. The intention was clear. Now, 2023, the Yorubas.
2003.
Yes,
No,
2003.
2003, yes.
2003.
Yes, 2003.
The Yorubas, seeing their son, he had done 4
Omo
years.
Wani kind of.
You know, they then began to think. Obasanjo also reached out to Yoruba leaders.
Oh, okay.
They began to think, okay, we didn't support him. We rejected him roundly that last time. Even in his home state, he was well beaten.
Yeah.
So what do we do this time around? The attitude changed. But it was meant to be for the presidential election.
Yeah, vote for him on the national level.
Okay.
And
then
allow those governors
do
to retain their states.
Yes, retain their.
But that was not what happened.
The PDP changed the game.
That was not what happened. It was only Tinubu that survived.
That's
That's tsunami.
Yes. Only Tinubu
Or some all of them,
survived.
they all lost.
Only Tinubu survived. Shoba lost to Begadane,
Begadane, yes.
you know. So only he was the only person who survived.
Out of 6 states.
Yes.
The president
out
needs
of
to
the
be
6
studied.
states,
I can tell you. No, because he saw what was coming.
Yeah.
And he tried his best to make sure that, okay, this does not happen to me. And of course, Asiwaju Tinubu almost always finds a way to know how the opponent is thinking.
Yeah.
He almost always finds a way to know how the opponent is thinking. He's a man of tremendous contacts within his own party and beyond. So some of the schemes against Lagos were known to him, and he did his best
to just block
stop
them.
it. There are specific things that I did, but I will not say it here. They will fight me if I say it. So he was able to retain his state, despite rationalizing the civil service here. I've never seen a governor who showed that kind of courage. The things that people usually do during their second term was what Tinubu did in Lagos during his first term. He right-sized the Lagos civil service. Many people lost their jobs. But he was not prepared to do it during the second term. That's when some people will have preferred to do it in order not to take risk. He did it, but he still won that election. And after winning that election, he began to build on it, so that by the time they were ready for the merger, he was a big player in the merger talks and along with others, Tommy Kimi, all of them. By the time they were ready for the merger, he had something to bring to the table.
A platform, formidable one at that.
Yes, because he had begun to take back those states that were taken from him. Osun, Olagunsoyo Ilola was defeated. He brought forensic experts to analyze ballots, and they saw that in some cases, palm kernel.
Palm kernel, was used for printing.
Nigerian politician. So in Osun, there was massive ballot stuffing.
Yeah, ballot stuffing that time, yeah.
But forensic
experts,
exam 40, discovered all of that.
We need to quickly go on this quick break, okay? Yeah. When we return, the conversation continues. Don't go anywhere. Still, John, let's hang out.
He was a bridge between faith and purpose.
Journalist right here. I mean, still talking about the president's address. Yeah. He said something. He said he's happy that the opposition is in disarray.
Yeah, disarray.
I mean, on a democracy day.
But again, that's a very direct. That's a very direct one.
This state,
no, with opposition elements in attendance.
Exactly.
Yeah. Former Senate President, former House of Reps Speaker. You know, these are leaders of.
Exactly. But I think
the Sarakis of this world are leaders of the opposition.
But in a way,
with them listening to you, and you had the effrontery to rub it in that way. I've never seen a more direct speech by a Nigerian president.
And the camera actually towards them when he said that.
In your face.
In your face.
Taunting.
I'm happy you are not. I'm happy of your fighting. I'm happy you cannot build your house.
No, it's like what is in. He was saying. He was speaking from his heart.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, this is the best speech by the president.
Well, which is what I said is
in terms of even the way
the presentation.
He rendered it.
Yeah, exactly.
You will see that he was very happy with what he was reading because what he was reading reflected his inner desires and all that. There are times when you.
It was not a managed thing that I had to face camera.
He was comfortable, was happy to read those things because it was like the
pouring out what was inside.
Simply poured out his mind. So he was really very much at home, very confident in the way he read it. I think that was his best performance.
But for me, I think even though it was a sting, I mean, some of already.
What do you mean? What is the truth? You see, the thing is. You can never be. Yorubas will say once grass cutter.
No, say it in
it's
Yoruba
never big.
Say it Yoruba first. Ti oya.
One otai ni pa odu oya.
Yoruba. I said you should say because I know that it was going to take trouble.
Okay.
You will say, it's this small grass cutter that you killed. You will not praise him that he has killed a big grass cutter. So the man, literally speaking, you can't be happy when your political opponents are doing well.
They're doing well.
You want to see them go down.
Exactly.
Because the battle of attrition. So he didn't pretend about it. That's
which is why I said it was a sting. It's a sting on their part.
Yes.
But again, if you, as I said, if I want to do literary appreciation of that, it was also it's a call for them to also rebuild. Yeah, you understand
to fix their party.
Look, I'm happy
about enough to motivate them.
If this does not motivate them, then nothing else will.
I said, you know what I said? I said, literally speaking, literally.
Charlie, if this does not motivate them,
then
nothing
what
will.
Because I'm happy you are not doing it, but the president has spat on our face. Let us challenge him. Let's shame him.
Let's put in
2015, when PDP lost the election, and then you have the Bunu Sheriff and all that. Well, how were they able to rebuild because they had a challenge? So for you to say, I'm not happy you are. I mean, I'm happy that you are in disarray. It should jot them to sit upright. To say,
the selfish ones amongst them. To tell themselves
that exactly. So it should be a challenge. They should not just sit down to say he has abused us and all that. But they should see it. It should be like a maybe when you they sit up both upright to say, what do we do? And begin to look at all these factors that will bring them together, and then who to weed the way, who to bring it. Even if you can also go to all these other smaller parties. I'm sorry to use that term. They could also be poaching.
They can,
they can poach and say, okay, come, let's build.
Exactly.
Not all this one they are running or bigger.
There are some big elements who are also big at the grassroots.
At the grassroots, exactly.
In parties like SDP and the rest of them.
They have them all over.
You can bring some of such people on board.
Yes.
The PDP just looks like a party.
For me, they're not creative enough.
That has committed to self-destruct.
They're not
because I
creative.
don't see I don't see why the opposition cannot work together. You keep blaming, say, oh, it's the APC that is causing all of this. Somebody, I think it was Nenadi Usman, who said the other day that public funds was being used to destabilize the opposition. Okay. Let the opposition refuse to be destabilized. Let the opposition be focused on the price. You know, let the opposition, it wasn't as if even APC didn't have crisis in 2014, 2013. That's it. But they came together.
To manage it, micromanage.
They came together and said, look, what is our focus is on the price.
It's on the ball.
Taking over power in Nigeria is more important to us than petty squabbles. Okay. Let's put all of those petty squabbles aside and focus on the price. And at the end of the day, they got the price. That is the way, that is my challenge.
So it's a challenge
to the PDP. Yes, exactly. Because if they come together, they are capable of defeating.
They could use whatever the APC, get people around.
All right, gentlemen. All right, gentlemen. Charles Idel, thank you so much. Is that how time flies, I tell you.
We are done.
You thought the program just started.
Nikhil, thank you so much. Going down memory lane, appreciate you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it on Journalist Hangout for this week. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11. Join us for an extended version of Journalist Hangout on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We're on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Benga Oreshegun. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.